女ってやつ。しゃー。バカ、いるわけねえだろ、そんなの。
So this episode of Spy Family was definitely a hoot. It was definitely, I feel as we've gone deeper and deeper into Spy Family, we've gone deeper and deeper into the seasons, we've gotten more and more filler episodes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing by any means or case at all. Like, filler episodes is totally okay as long as they are, funny, entertaining, or informational. And I really think that this episode, even though it was a filler episode, and I kind of feel like it was a filler episode of 2 parts, but even though this episode was a filler episode, we still got introduced to a brand new character in George or Georgie, whichever name that you want to pick or decide. We got introduced to a new family, which was the, what was their family? It was a pharmaceutical family, the 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐽. So the 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐽 pharmaceutical family, we got introduced to him. We got basically 75% of this episode revolved around George. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But then what ended up happening after that, and again, I don't know if that was based on source material, like basically like a chapter or 2 from the manga. I don't know exactly where the George stuff came from. But then I'm not one to really care about, anime original or not. And personally, 90% of the time, I can't even tell if something is anime original or not, right? Like when Goku and Piccolo went for their driving test in Dragon Ball Z, that was anime original. I had no idea, though. I just enjoyed it because, I'm just enjoying an anime. So in this sense, the last 25% of the episode was all about Anya forgetting her PE uniform at home. You're freaking out. You're thinking that, hey, she's going to get freaking expelled if she forgot her PE uniform. She's thinking of the worst thing ever. She ends up turning into the Spider Woman at school, and she ends up returning her PE uniform to Anya, but Anya's like, yo, moms, I don't need it. There's no PE today. And obviously Yor freaks out. Lloyd finds her. They go on like a little lunch date or whatever. All cute stuff, but at the end of the day, like, I really felt like the last 25% felt the most filler anime original ever because it basically moved no needle, and it was, I think I laughed a little bit, when Yor was like on the window and the kid freaked out. He's like, Spider Woman. I'm not gonna say I laughed. I went like that. I probably had like 2 seconds. It was like a little tiny, baby laugh, if anything. But that was probably the most enjoyable part of the episode. That was probably the most enjoyable part of that portion of the episode. Now, the rest of it, like I said, I did feel like this was a filler episode through and through, but I really did enjoy the George stuff. So we got to meet George 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐽, and we found out that the pharmacy company that his dad runs was going to be destroyed by the Desmonds. At least that's how he interpreted what was going to occur. He ends up being a really grumpy kid. The person that we met last time, who was the spy, ended up being the spy that Lloyd had confronted. This was hired by George. George gave his 3 months of, I was going to call it salary. He gave his 3 months of what do you call it when allowance. He gave his 3 months of allowance to the butler. The butler hired the spy, and that is why the spy was like baby's first spy mission kind of thing. He tried to blackmail Desmond this episode. It didn't work out. Anya caught him and called him out. We went through a whole entire emotional dialogue session for George. And George, he basically thought he was going to be a slave, thought he was going to be living on the streets. The whole class, came and gifted him and made his last day, quote-unquote, last day of school good. He comes to find out later on in the episode that the 𝐒𝐮𝐻𝐽s are not going bankrupt. They're actually being bought out by the Desmonds. The Desmonds are saving their butt. He's totally okay. He goes back to school, totally embarrassed, and everyone's like, yo, give us our stuff back. And that's pretty much all that occurred this episode, outside of also making Desmond feel really embarrassed because Anya saved his hide. So Desmond is now even that much more in love with our girl Anya. And that's really all that happened this episode. So we have that, and it was entertaining. I just summed it up in 90 seconds. So there wasn't a whole lot that happened this episode. There wasn't a whole lot that moved this episode forward. It was just a cool little filler episode to get us to the next thing, which, again, like I've said, the thing that I don't like so far is we're finding more and more of those episodes as kind of the second core has come out. Kind of, and I feel like these are just stopgaps to, lessen the story. Although I did like this episode, overall, I don't tend to really like filler because it kind of stops the main plot line from going on. I rather, if you tell me, do you want 24 episodes or do you want 12 episodes of actual material that moves the story forward, and you get to basically go from, beginning to end of story, I'm going to tell you I want the 12 episodes. 24 is nice when they all have value, but if they're not really providing value to the story, I'd rather have less. But you might not feel that way, and that's totally okay if you don't. Let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys coming back for another week. This episode, that was episode number 7, and that's pretty much all my thoughts on it. It was a good episode, not great. Was it filler? Yes. And that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Let me know what you think about little Georgie Porgy down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next week, as next week's episode will probably actually get back to the core story. All right, friends. Peace.